Only after like 20 minutes of this crap, I'm like, fine, here are my keys. So go to my car, get my 4-iron, a Pro V1, my glove, and my shoes. Double or nothing, I'll do it again. And he could not run to my car fast enough. And so he brings it back, and I walk all the way back down the fairway. I go drop the ball, same spot, and it was a blind shot, so I couldn't see it. I hit it, and it was kind of like Sergio and 9. I come running out, but I couldn't get out fast enough to see it land, so I just turned my head and listened. And I'll have to edit this out, but the only thing that I heard about 6 seconds after impact was, son of a... All right, welcome to, I always say welcome back. Welcome to the best golf podcast ever. I'm Garrett with Tony and Mike. Tony, a teacher of teachers in the golfing universe. Michael, a trainer of trainers, I guess, on the TPI side. Good to see you, brothers. Always excited and always enjoy it. Happy Friday. Cheers. Tony, you are looking particularly slick today. I don't know if did you change your hair or something? You're looking solid.
I gave myself a haircut and I had put on a new black shirt. I just took a shower. So.
Okay, bathing does help. I mean, I've been told bathing helps the appearance.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a busy couple of weeks. So, Tony, you had the 4 Club Challenge. I had the Sully's Cup. I've got a little experiment that I did today that went incredibly sideways. I'm really excited to share that. And also, I'm not sure if I don't know if I want to let the cat out of the bag and tell like the whole story, or if I want to leave some suspicion out there until I can get the video out for it. But got that going on. Tony, I forgot until I was sitting there putting down my notes for today. Me and you've played since the last time we recorded.
So we got a live round. That. Were you playing together or against each other?
That was against each other.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Eagle Ridge.
That was against each other. Yeah. Well, let's celebrate the wins, right? So we won. We did win the Sully's 2-man 5-week championship. Then we won pretty handily too.
We didn't go undefeated though. We didn't win all 5.
Yeah, but we knew that. We knew week 5 was not going to be a good one. It was Bethpage, and we had a few simulator woes. I don't know how much it actually affected anything, or if we were just garbage that day. But it was like reading club path and club speed and angle of attack for my clubs, but I didn't have any stickers, any markers on the club, so I don't know how it would have been reading that. Something was going off, but I still think we just played terrible.
Well, it's like I told you at one point in the round. I don't think the sim is not acting right, but it was not. I don't want to say that to say that the sim is the reason we played bad. It was just like I'm almost positive I hit a snap hook, and it told me that I hit a block fade. Neither one were going to be good, right? It was a bad shot regardless, but it just seemed like it was straight, and it was, I don't know, maybe it was just us. I've never had
it. But remember there was that one where I like chipped the ball and it launched and landed, into the screen softly, and then it showed up on the sim as it like raced across the green as like a ground ball, a screamer. We were like, what the heck is going on?
Tony's gotten so frustrated with the sim not picking up his putter correctly that he's finally decided if it's more than 15 feet, he's chipping it. So he decides
to chip it off the green.
He decides to chip it, and apparently the sim didn't like that either, because he's hit a chip shot, a nice soft little chip shot, and it's treated it like a blade, like across the green, like a little worm burner. So
I think someone went in there and tried to sabotage us. They glitched it out and introduced some bugs or something like that, so that we would give everybody else a chance, maybe. I don't know.
Well, and in fairness, I think I might have a suspicion of who that was. I think my boy, I think it was Justin Stahl. So that's the guy that I was talking so much smack about over the summer and saying that he had like sandbagged, and I don't know how he came back. It turns out I did know the guy. Just he was the guy who beat me at club championship, and I didn't stick around long enough to get his name, so I didn't remember him. And then, so that's the guy that beat me. So we played 4 of our 5 matches against each other and had just an awesome time. I had a great time playing with him, probably because I won 3 out of the 4. But even when we beat
that always Sunday, makes for a good time.
But even when he beat me on Sunday, I had a real good time. So I did admit to him, I said, look, I got to say, I did kind of badmouth you on our podcast. I didn't edit out most of what I badmouthed, but I had to eat my words on that one because he's a cool dude.
Eating some crow.
Yeah, I had a real good time playing with him. But no, so it was interesting. I played my normal 17 practice rounds so that I was fully prepared. Tony and I's match was at that Bethpage. But then there was like a
Yeah.
special edition Bethpage that they had for the Sully's Cup. So I get to the first tee of there, and it's like, this isn't what I remember. The rough wasn't anywhere close to as bad as I thought it was going to be, but we played it from 6,700 instead of 62, so it was kind of a wash in a way. But that rough still, though, even in that edition of it,
The
that
virtual
deep
rough.
stuff was bad. Yeah, the virtual rough was pretty rough.
That's funny.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say it that. I didn't mean to have that pun, but it was pretty brutal. But yeah, at Eagle Ridge, Tony and I played. It'll be it was not this past Monday, but the Monday before. I got the card here. I
Oh, no.
started off
Mm-mm.
double
Mm.
bogey, double bogey. So I'm 8 over through 5.
It was not good.
It was not. I almost went ahead and paid you after the 5th. Like, I don't want to have to let this linger. Let's just call this a day. But I did battle back. I birdied 6, parred 7, 8, 9, 10, bogeyed 11, 12, parred 13, 14, 15, 16.
Dang.
Now 17. I think there's got to be a mental lesson in there somewhere, Tony, from 17. So I think
you shouldn't have gone for the green. That was the stupidest thing. I was like, why is he doing this? This is
respectfully disagree, sir. Because, but I really was.
All
this is one
what
of those
do I
things.
know? I don't know anything.
Yeah,
Set it up for me though. Set up the hole for me.
All right, so it's a 550-yard, slightly downhill par 5.
Dang.
I believe. Did we go into that whole dead square? I think we did.
Well, yes, ours was a tail of 2 9s. I think I was even par on the front 9. I've got this thing squarely in the bag.
Yeah.
And then I had
back-to-back triples, I believe, 11 and 12. Was it back-to-back triples? Yeah.
I think it was a triple and a double.
Yeah. So
there's some mental not focus there.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a mental midget moment, I guess.
But we almost lost the ball on 12, 1 yard off the green.
The rough was incredibly. It's not even that it was so tall. It was just that Bermuda rough this time of year. It just sucks a ball down. If the rough's more than about 2 inches tall, it sucks the ball all the way to the bottom and then somehow covers it up and you can't find it. And I mean, you hit a great shot in there, dead center of the green, and we go up there and we can't find it. And I mean, we didn't have to cover a 10 by 10 square to look for this ball. I mean, we knew where it was. We just couldn't find it. And he finally finds it, and I think you chipped it out on the green, but then you chipped it. Maybe you didn't get it on the green. I think you got it to like the fringe, and then you've hit a putt or a bump and run that rolled off the other side and then chipped it back across.
All the way down.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
It was a John Daly at Pinehurst in 99 type thing. I mean, it was
like
just back and forth.
10 cup thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was bad.
Anyway,
so going into 17, we're must be tied or something. I don't know.
I think we're right around tied. So I hit mine slightly right. Tony's just a little bit further right, but we're both in okay shape. And he makes the comment, probably going to be blocked out by some trees. And I get down there and I'm like, I don't know what Tony's talking about. I see the green. I mean, yeah, there are trees in the way, but I see the green. And I don't know why I would not go for this. All it is a 235-yard, 20-yard cut 2-iron. I mean, this is not a hard
to a green that is wider than it is deep, with bunkers in the back of it. The whole thing slopes back to front, and if you are marginally short, it's a death false front all the way down into the hazard.
But see, all I hear is that it's wider than it is deep, which means as long as I hit the number right, I've got a lot of width to work with. It doesn't have to be straight. It just needs to be generally the right distance. And you say false front, and I say there's some really deep rough between the green and the creek. So
long story short, as soon as he says he's going to hit this 2-iron, I knew the match was mine. I was like, it's over.
2-iron.
He walks over to me. I've got the 2-iron out, and he looks over and he says, "Are you going for it?" And I can't remember my reaction. I said, well, yeah. And it was because I'm like, how would you question it? I mean, it's just I can hit a 2-iron 230 or so, and this is only like 215 with a cut. I think I got this. But here's my justification, and I'm going to die on this hill. I pulled the shot off. I didn't hit it great, but I hit a good enough shot that it landed 5 yards short of the green with enough left to right movement that it should have kicked away from the false front. And I still think it's like 7 feet off the green somewhere, just buried up in some rough I couldn't find.
The false front is also short. It gets longer as you go farther right. So
I just think I think it's in the rough. I don't think it was as I think I hit a good shot. I just, we can agree to disagree. You won the match. But after
thank you, hole 17.
yeah, I spent 17 minutes looking for that golf ball, never
I bet
found
you
it,
did. Yeah.
and then finally took bogey, and I did have to do my little walk off move because I hit actually a pretty good recovery shot to get it to about 8 feet, and I had to like regroup a minute because I think you made par, and I had to remind myself, okay, I've just got to make this putt, and I can still have the hole, but then I missed the putt. You didn't hit a good tee ball on 18, but then I hit a good tee ball on 18, but I ended up kind of in an awkward lie in the rough, and I've almost hit the clubhouse, I think, with my second shot, and ended up making double on 18. So we're dead square. I think in our two 18-hole matches, I took one, you took one. I think we're dead even. So it was fun, but I wasn't too happy with the ending. I was pretty irritated with it, but
Is that pretty typical of how you approach it, though? I mean, we're going full on Nicholson typically when you play.
well, I think Mickelson's a little smarter than I am, but I mean, generally, yeah, that's. But we'll get to that. I think we might have. I might have made an accidental breakthrough on that one this afternoon or this morning, so we might get to that in a little bit. But before we go there, though, I want to hear about the 4 club challenge, Tony,
Oh,
because you shoot one over, you win by 3 or 4 shots, you win pretty big, but it sounds like you got a lot of really cool lessons out of that too. So tell us about that one.
yeah. So last year I played in the 4 club challenge and I did not take a putter, which was the stupidest thing I could have ever done in my life. Learned my lesson there. But basically, I looked at the course and we played it from I think 6,300 yards, and I looked at all the par fours and the par threes, and I said, what if I like my 7 wood a lot and I can hit it like 250 max all the way down to 200 pretty easy. Garrett's seen me hit this thing; it's just a phenomenal club. And I was like, okay, if I'm
It's a
averaging
true
two,
utility of utilities. He uses this thing everything from 160 to 240. I've
yeah,
never seen somebody with so much range on this club.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, if I've got 240 into every or off the tee, what's the average distance I'm going to have for an approach shot? Like, what's my range going to be? It's going to be 130 to 170 yards on par fours. Looked at all the par threes, figured out what's the distance to the front of each green on all of them. What club could I use that would get me on at least the front edge of the green? And then I said I need a wedge that can go to at least 115 all the way down to into the green, and then a putter. So I took 7 wood, 8 iron, and wedge. And I learned so much through this term. At first, I was very proud of myself because probably through I would think I was even through the front 9, and probably through about the 14th or the 15th hole, I figured I'm in really good shape here because to be hovering around even par with a 4 club tournament from this distance, it's pretty tough to do, right? So I was like, okay, I'm pretty good. I only missed 2 greens all day. But I was like, process, process, process. Do not look at the leaderboard because we had Golf Genius, so I could have looked at the leaderboard to see where I was. But I was like, nope, I'm not going to look. I'm just going to keep it and put in my scores and keep doing my pre-shot routine and keep picking smart targets. And all the way on the 18th green, I had a chip and a putt to finish out. That was one of the greens I missed. And as I was walking up to the green, I was like, let me check the scoreboard real quick. Let me check the leaderboard. But I didn't. I was like, no, don't do it. You've come this far. You've stuck to the process. Don't do it. So I didn't. Finished up. As soon as I rolled my putt in, I looked, and sure enough, I had won big, and it was pretty pumped because it's like the first I think solo tournament I've won. I've won some team stuff, obviously Garrett.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So, but it was good because there was a few moments of nerves, but for the most part, I just again process, process, process. And I was telling Garrett today that it was pretty cool too because you realize how much you can do with just 4 clubs. Like if you've got even if let's say the flag is in the back, but you're really comfortable with your 9 iron, even if your 9 iron only gets you to the front third of the green, well, then it's just a 2 putt par, but at least you're on the green, not trying to hit a club you're uncomfortable with or yardage you don't like, and then you plug it in the bunker because you're not committed to the shot or whatever. Because when you only have those 4 clubs, you have to commit to every single number, every single swing. You have to be completely dedicated to what it is that you're trying to accomplish with that club. Like there's no guesswork. It's just got to be, committed. Um, and so that was the thing I was going to say I would recommend our listeners to do is to just take 4 clubs and see what you could shoot from the farthest forward tee box or whatever it is. and you might find which clubs and which yardages you actually really feel comfortable with, and then you might could build a strategy around that. But yeah, it was a really fun opportunity and a really fun tournament to try something new. And like I said, I told you I needed something where I could get out of my head and start playing fun golf again. And I was really excited about that tournament because that's exactly what that was. Because you go in with no expectations. You don't know what you're going to shoot because you only got 4 clubs. You're like, let me just try my best and go through the process and see what I can accomplish. And it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Well, first of all, congratulations. I think just knowing what you've been battling the last, month or so, I think this last month has been a little tough for you, and you said it's been hard to concentrate in your rounds. And kudos to you for putting it together. And something you said about not wanting to check the scores. So I'm curious. So a lot of my clients, they'll play like in a foursome, or they'll play in these little club groups on, a Thursday group. Would you rather know the score going into the last 3 holes, just so you know, okay, how should I play these last 3 holes? Or do you think it's better for you, hey, I need to stick with my process, and if I win, I win? Because like what Garrett is saying, he's going for it, on that 17th hole, because he knows you guys are tied. But, knowing the score, I'm like you, I would rather not know the score, because then I get in my head, pick a sport, whatever, if it's bowling or golf, whatever. I'd rather stay my process, but I'm curious your guys' take on that.
Yeah, so I would say because golf is a sport where you cannot influence the outcome of someone else, I would say a lot of people would be better not knowing the score, just going through the process, making the smart decision. Because like I said, even on my 18th hole, I had a chip and a putt for par. Nothing changes. Whether I'm winning by 1 or I'm losing by 1, I still have to try to get this ball in the hole as few strokes as possible. Right? That's it. No, I can't go knock the other guy's putt out of the way if he's got a putt for par. And you know what I mean? It's not basketball.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there's different philosophies on that, but I think if you're trying to do something to match someone else's score and you push too hard, that's when double and triple comes into play. Right? Like regardless of what Garrett was going to do on 17 when we played, if he had hit the green, I still was going to play the hole the same way I played it, because I know for me what my best strategy is to make birdie there or to make par at worst. I know how I play that hole and I know how I do it, right? So the fact that he, went for the green, even if he had hit the green and had, it's still not a guaranteed 2-putt from that green, because that green is super slopey and super tough where that pin location was. I mean, they had it right there on the edge, right, of that ridge. So there's no guarantee he even 2-putts it. He could 3-putt par, you know what I mean? So it didn't really change anything for me, and I don't think it should. I think what we're kind of preaching oftentimes people is just go through your process, play your game, do your thing, and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, I think it's a little different too in tournament play versus heads up matches. So like when you and I were playing, that was a heads up match. The Sully's Cup were heads up matches. You kind of have to pay attention to the score in that situation to an extent, but at the same time, I still find there was a round at Sully's a while back, just a little practice round or whatever, where I finished the round and I saw the score, and I had to go back and add it up, and I was like, "That's not what I shot. I'm almost positive that's not what I shot," and it was off by like 2 or 3 shots in my mind.
Whoa.
But it was right. Once I sat down and I was like, "Wait a minute, yeah, I did birdie that par 3. Yeah, I did make that 1 putt. I forgot that putt." And when I added it up, I had actually shot 3 shots better than I thought I did. And there are a lot of times when I'm practicing, it's harder for me on the golf course. I can actually get by with doing this at Sully's because it keeps score for you. On the golf course, I have to write a score down at the end of the round, right? Or at the end of the hole. I've got to, actually go through the process of writing it down. What is it you learn in school? Like you retain some small percentage of things you hear, some larger percentage of things you write down. Like when I write something down, it's harder for me to block that out. But when I'm at Sully's, at least there have been rounds that I get in a little bit of a zone and I look up and I'm 6 under and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I was quite there. And that's a great spot to be in. I've not figured out how to do that on the golf course though, because you have to write your score down, because that's part, especially in tournaments.
Yeah.
You have to know what you shot. So you have to write it down as you go along.
Well, what I was going to say is you talk about getting in the zone, and I'm going to find that video where it's a Tiger Woods documentary. It's like type interview type thing. And he said the exact same thing. He said there would be stretches of 6 to 7 holes where I would just literally black out. I was so in the zone. I'm just going through the process and playing. He's like, and then I'd snap out of it and I'm 4 or 5 under, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, I mean, So I hear what you're saying. Yes, you got to write the score down and everything, but think about, like, even if you're doing match play, okay, you're still supposed to try your best on every shot. You're not like
Sure.
giving up, you know. You're not saying, "Ooh, I'm gonna try really hard on this one and somehow magically hit the ball to 2 feet." You know, like there's still so much variability in the process. There's still so much variability in how much or how little control we actually have over the golf ball, right? I mean, I play with people all the time, and I might accidentally pull a shot slightly, and I hit it to 3 feet, and they're like, "Oh, that was a really aggressive shot." I was like, "Man, I was aimed 15 yards right at that flag. I wasn't aimed at that flag."
Yeah.
You know, so like, I mean, it's one of those things where you got to stay calm, you got to stay in the process, and let the stuff happen. Right? Pushing too hard is not going to be the best strategy. It's not like, I don't know. There's something different about competitive sport where where it's team based and you can play defense. I
Yeah.
think it's just a different mindset. I think, right? Because you can directly influence what someone else is doing. Then you can tighten up on D. You can put more pressure, run a different offense, run a different defense, whatever. In golf, it's just you in the course.
Mhm.
You know, it's just I think so. In some ways, I do think it's different. Now, there are things you can do with head games. Obviously, Tiger was pretty good at that. You know, head games, and a lot of golfers are really good at getting into the golfers' heads. But then that gets into gamesmanship and sport ethics and stuff as well.
So yeah, a lot of what you were just talking about there were lessons that I learned or had reinforced during the Sully's Cup. So shout out to Sully's. Seriously, they did a great job with the Sully's Cup. It was a lot of fun. A lot. I think everybody that played in it probably had more fun than they expected to, and I had a blast. And I texted you guys. I got there and started. I got loosened up a little bit on Friday. Friday was 4 ball matches, so I had a teammate. It was just best ball, and I get ready to tee off, and there were a lot more people there than I expected. Usually in tournaments and stuff, you kind of got your own private bay and it's just your foursome there. And there might be somebody that walks by and watches for a minute or two, but not you. But there were like 10 people standing around our bay watching these matches. And I mean, it's not exactly Augusta on Sunday, but that's a bigger gallon. So I tee off and, we have, go a hole or so. And I get to the second hole and I'm like, man, I'm like legit nervous. Like I did not expect to be nervous for the Sully's Cup, but I really was. And I texted you guys. I was like, I'm seriously nervous. And I was probably nervous for, at least first. I think I was nervous probably the whole round. I think I got to like the fourth or fifth hole and I was like, okay, I'm nervous as crap, but I'm also one under. So like don't fight it. Just, it's uncomfortable to be nervous. But at the same time, that's also like if you get in it, y'all may know more about this than I do, but that's also your brain kind of like letting you know we're this is a serious situation and we need to be on alert or whatever. There's like some type of a like
Mhm.
caveman response there where you're like it's not a bad thing to be nervous. So I started they settled in as the day went on. I didn't play great. I played kind of boring, but I shot a good number and we won the match. Then Saturday was alternate shot. I had never played alternate shot, but man, there's a lot of cool lessons learned there. First of all, we were two down before I could even blink. I mean, I hadn't even finished my coffee. We're two down. And I was the reason. I hadn't hit a good shot in 5 holes because I'm playing with somebody who's not as good of a golfer, and I was trying to do too much. If I'm 160, I'm trying to hit it inside the gimme circle, right? Instead of just trying to hit a good golf shot. And I had to just kind of, about the sixth or seventh hole, I kind of had to say, just stop pressing, just hit as good a shot as you can. And because we've talked about this before, when you play the great rounds, you aim for the general vicinity of the green you want to hit it in. And sometimes it happens to get in the gimme circle. When you try to hit it in the gimme circle, you're probably not going to hit it in the gimme circle. You know what I mean? You've got to just kind of relax a little bit and loosen up. So I did that and we came back and won that match. The second match, we won 8-7, which is about as bad as you can beat somebody in match play. But we had a great little system. My opponent teed off when their better player was teeing off, and then I was teeing off when their lesser player was teeing off. So my opponent was, or my partner was really good at just getting it in the fairway, and that was leaving me like 230 in, but that was okay because I could at least get there from 230. Where my when you flip flop the roles, their guy was leaving their better player 250 out in the deep rough, and he was having to chip out. So we played really well on that one. and then won the third match also on Saturday. So I was undefeated going into Sunday, and I played Justin, who I really wanted to shut him out. I mean, I wanted to beat him 4 in a row, and he was determined he wasn't going to. But on Sunday, I started pressing again because Justin's a good player. I mean, props to him. He's a good player who can get hot in a hurry. So I think we started off. I think I was up on him. Maybe I was 2 up through 5 or 6. Neither of us were playing great, but I'd made a couple of putts. But I'm just sitting there thinking, like, at any given time, he can string together 6 straight birdies. So I need to, like, aim for the gimme circle on every single hole. And these pins were tucked. I mean, they were tucked tight. And I'm going for every single one of them. Hitting shots that I can't hit. I can't. 1 out of 10 times I may actually get it in the circle. You know what I mean? I should have been taking middle of the green, whatever, and just fell to pieces on the back nine. And he beat me 1 up. So learned a lot about all the stuff that you just said there, Tony. I mean, that was kind of my weekend in a nutshell. Was don't press. Being nervous is okay. When we beat them in the 8 and 7 match, though, I really found a routine and a rhythm where I didn't care what the score was. I didn't care what the match was. I went through my routine every single time. I don't care if it was. We had they'd made double bogey, and I had a 12-foot birdie putt. All I got to do is get it in the circle. I still went through my routine. All I had to do was tap it 2 feet into the circle. I still went through the routine. And then you just look up and it's like, oh man, we're 6 up through 9. If we can win 2 more, this thing's over. But I wasn't thinking that way. I was just go through the routine, hit a shot, go back, do it again, do it again, do it again. And then you look back at the end of the day and it's like, oh wow, that was pretty easy. So
Well, and it goes back to some of the other things, right? Like I've been doing a lot of learning on a variety of mental health topics and things of that nature. And, at the end of the day, we can only control the few minor things we can control in life. You can't control what other people think or say about you. You can't control what other people do, how they perform. There's so few things that you can actually do in control in your day-to-day life. And golf is a perfect example of that. The only thing you can control is your process, your targets, the effort you give. But look, you could go out and on your best day, you shoot 72. You played a great round, and then so could the other person. They shot 71. There's nothing you can do literally nothing you can do about it. It's just we all go and we do our best and we see where we land at the end of the day. That's just kind of the beautiful thing about it and the frustrating thing about it too, obviously, right? But that's the game we choose to play. It's no different than bowling, right? Every time a professional bowler goes up there, they're trying to shoot 300 or roll 300. That's it. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't, and sometimes their 289 is good enough, and the others is better. It's just you can't affect them. Or Usain Bolt and Tyson Gay, they're both trying to run a sub 10 100-meter dash, and they both do their best. And some guys are just faster sometimes, and that's just all there is to it.
But Tony, how many times do we when I'm down 7 shots through 4 holes or whatever it was I was to you the other day, in my mind I'm thinking, all right, well, 1 or 2 things is going to happen. Either Tony's going to go through a slump somewhere or I'm going to lose. That's it. I'm not making up 7 shots on you unless you help me. And you didn't for a long time. And then 11 and 12 happened.
And then I did.
And you did. But at the same time, if I had gone to the 6th tee thinking, okay, I'm going to birdie 6, I'm going to birdie 7. They're both kind of gettable holes. I'll par 8, then I'll birdie 9, and then I'm going to claw my way back into it. I would have shot freaking 97 if I had tried to go that route. Because when you try to and I don't care if you're in your gangster or even just playing by yourself, when you have those bad starts and you're like, I'm hell bent, I'm going to break 80 today, or I'm going to break 90, or whatever your number is, and then you start off and you're 10 over through 6 or whatever, you can kind of make a decision at that point. You can think that you're going to come back from this, but I got news for you. If you're going to come back from this, then you're going to have to play the equivalent of about a 65 from that point in, right? If you were capable of that, you would have done that by now,
Well, and the other
is
thing,
the best you can do.
yeah, the other thing about that too, is I've played a lot of golf with a lot of different skill level golfers. And it doesn't seem to matter whether they're a 90 shooter or a 70 shooter. Everybody has that peak, what do we call it? That peak stimulation range or that peak care level, right? Where there's just enough care that you go through your process and you do your routine and you pick targets. You're still playing the game, but you're not worried. You're not anxious about the score. You're just doing the process. And then what happens a lot of times is you'll see people, like I've played in so many of these tournaments now, where someone has a bad start, 2 or 3 holes, they're 3 or 4 over, and then they're just like, F it, whatever. I don't even care anymore. And then they go par, 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 birdie, par, par, bogey, par. And it's just like, it's like they reach this stimulus level where it's like I'm in my peak flow state now, because the pressure is off. I feel like I'm out of the tournament or whatever. You know what I mean? And now their brain is free to focus on what needs to happen, and they can actually perform.
Tony, have you ever come across a golfer? And I'm not sure, and honestly, Mike, you would have maybe something to say on this too, but have you ever come across an athlete who plays better when they're like so nervous they can barely breathe? I mean, I wasn't to that level by any means, but I do play better. And we talked about this before. I told the story about my U.S. Junior Amateur qualifier when I was like 16 or 17. I remember being I felt like I was holding a rattlesnake when I teed off on number one. I mean, I was terrified. I seriously, at the top of my backswing, thought I was going to miss the ball. That's how uncomfortable I was. And I strike 2 in a row and made birdie on the first hole. And then I calmed down and I played like crap from there in. And even this weekend, Friday, when I realized I was nervous, I mean, y'all, I hadn't been nervous with a golf club in my hands probably probably 7 or 8 years. Club championship when I was playing a few years ago probably made me a little nervous. But I mean, it's been a while since I've really been nervous, and I was nervous as crap. And I look up after, a couple of holes or 5, 6 holes, I was 1 or 2 under, whatever, and honestly could have, I mean, I had a lot of balls that were just right outside the gimme circle and just lipped out some putts, things like that. But Sunday, there was all this hype, and we were the last match, and we were the anchor match or whatever, and there was all this hype around it. And by the time when I left to go to church, we had come back and my team had tied the other team for the overall. By the time I got out of church, we were almost eliminated, and by the time I got there to tee off, we had been eliminated. So I've got all this, energy, built up for this match that now means nothing. And then I just went out there and I still went through my process, but I just didn't play very good. And I don't know if it would have mattered if it would have changed the outcome or not. But I just feel like there's been a lot of times, and it sucks because I don't like feeling that way. It's not comfortable to have your heart beating out of your chest 125 beats a minute and feel like a golf club that you've swung 200,000 times in your life. You don't know if you can make contact with it. But I do seem to play better that way. So number one, have you ever come across that? I'm sure there are people like that. And if you have, what the hell do you do about it? How can I make myself that scared and then not play bad or whatever?
Well, I don't know if you can answer it in the moment, but like, why were you so when you say nervous, this is another term for like anxiety. Why I'm having anxiety right now. So why are you anxious? Are you anxious that you're going to make a fool of yourself, embarrassing yourself? It's kind of recognizing what is making you anxious in the moment and then being like okay with it, and that term embrace it. Just kind of, I think, identifying it, because it's different for everybody.
I think for me, it's, it was twofold. Number one, okay, if I hit this shot, if I hit a bad shot, it counts. I don't get to rake another one over and try again. I have to go play the consequence of this shot if it's a bad shot. That's part of it. And then the other part is, you got people standing around watching you, and you don't want to choke. You don't want to, especially most of the people around there know I'm a pretty decent player. So the last thing I want to do is top one or do something to stain my amazing reputation at Sully's or whatever, right? Like there's a little bit of that, if I'm being honest. And it's like, you want to perform well when people are watching, and you especially want to perform well when people are watching, and it matters if you don't. And it just, I don't know, it just, all of a sudden this thing that I'm pretty comfortable doing feels like it's impossible to do. But I at the same time, I play better when I feel that way.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll be, honest. I'm somebody that has dealt with anxiety my whole life, and it's something that it's kind of runs in the family, and it's something that has affected me in performance when I was in college playing baseball. It's something that I still deal with and manage. So, but I love it. I think the things that we most struggle with, it becomes like our greatest form of teaching, for me, because I feel like I was kind of a mental midget when I played. And it was something that I could speak directly to as a coach when I was on the baseball side. But I think just acknowledging it and identifying it. And sometimes it's different, man. I got a buddy that I train. He is deathly afraid of driving on bridges. Like, that doesn't bother me. What makes me anxious, if I said what it was, you'd be like, that's silly. But I've got, everybody gets anxious about different things, right? But it's just recognizing it, identifying it, and being cool with it, and being able to, if it's something that reoccurs, and just being comfortable with it. But yeah, sometimes it pops up in the worst possible time, right? Yeah, I don't know, Tony, if you got any thoughts on it, but I think I love that we're talking about it, because it's something that we all affects everybody, right? When I got guys that play really well in tournament play, like they play better. And then I got guys that play worse. So yeah, I'd love to, Tony, if you got any thoughts on it, on that performance stuff with what you talk to your students about.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to go into there, right? And we need to get a sports psychologist on the show one of these days. But I think there's a few key points. I think it does go back to that level of stimulation that is most beneficial for people, and it varies, right? Um, I'm, it all comes back to the ego, I think, in some way, shape, or form. Like, I love to show off. Like, you give me a driver and I'll say, watch, I can hit this ball off my knees. And I do that and I never miss, like it's just perfect. Because I love to show, like, and showing is a part of teaching. So I love to be able to demonstrate and do stuff like that. But I'm also just a big ham, and I love the validation when you do something cool and people think it's awesome. I think it's fun, right? That's just part of my DNA. Um, but at the same time, I think controlling breathing is obviously very important. It's been something I've been working on personally and working on with my own kids, because we've all got our own stuff that we're dealing with, with everything that's going on. And I was listening to this podcast the other day. It might have been a TED Talk or something. I think it was a TED Talk, but he was talking about a breathing technique that, like, samurai and the Marines use, and it's called the 4-7-8 breathing technique, where basically you breathe in deeply for 4 seconds, hold for 7, and then let out for 8. And then you just keep doing that until your body regulates and slows everything way down. And what do we notice with a lot of top tier athletes? I was just talking about this in class the other day. A basketball player, big breath before they shoot, before they go into their routine, right? Or you see a golfer on the tee box at the Ryder Cup or whatever, and you see the whoop, they show the heart rate and everything. Big breath, settle, breathe, right? It's all about finding the ability to the brain goes in that fight or flight or freeze response, right? Whenever we're under pressure situations, perform and focus on what you need to do. But I do think with Garrett, right? Maybe that's his threshold. That's his stimulus optimal zone, is when he does feel a little bit of nerves, because it's telling him, focus up, buddy, and hit a solid shot. Because same for me performing, right? When I got people watching me and I'm like, I just claimed I could do something crazy. Well, I gotta buckle up and show them I can do it, right? So I think but it's different for everybody. It is different for everybody, and you've got to figure out what ways work best for you. And this is where some people, right, they learn that, competing is not for me. I'm better off on the sideline, or I'm better off helping others do it, right? Or playing tournament golf is not for me, but you don't know unless you try it. You don't know unless you put yourself in enough scenarios, and a one-off is not the end all be all. Right? You got to do it at least 10 times to see if it's just a one-time nervous experience or if it's something that's an actual issue. And again, our listeners play a variety of different styles of golf. Probably some are competitive, trying to win the club championship. Some are just recreational, just trying to have fun. So there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, competitive tournament golf is not for me. It's not for everybody, right? But if you say you want to do that, well, then yeah, you got to have strategies and abilities and things to perform without being debilitated by anxiety. But yeah, you got to get to, like you're saying, Mike, you got to get to the root cause of what's really the cause of the anxiety. It might not be that you're afraid you're going to top the ball because you've hit a ball perfectly thousands of times. It might be the fear of putting your name on a leaderboard and finishing last. Like that, just for your ego, that won't sit well. And so I used to tell people all the time at the beginning of a golf round or whatever, they're going to go play in a tournament. I said, have you accepted the possibility that you could finish dead last? And they're like, no, I don't accept that. I'm like, well, if you haven't accepted that, you're not ready. You probably shouldn't go play, because as soon as you put your name on the thing, you got to be willing to understand that that is a possibility. And if you mentally cannot accept that, then you probably shouldn't put your name in the hat. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
To some extent, I think I can kind of get what you're saying with the showing off things. I always said that, I think I said on a couple of shows ago that I always played better with my dad. And I did. I always played really good with my dad. And I think there's something like, and this is not like, I'm not trying to go like all deep psychological, whatever on this. Like me and my dad have a great relationship, love him to death. He's awesome. But there's still something about little boys or young men that want to impress their dads. It's just something that we're kind of naturally kind of born to do. So knowing that I was pretty good at golf, and when he and I would play together, I would just always find a little bit extra gear that I didn't have when I was out there by myself or out there with my friends or whatever. And there was just something about it I just always liked seeing, making him proud or showing off for him or whatever you want to call it. When I was in high school, I was actually talking to my son about this the other day, that when I was in high school, if a girl I liked came and watched me play golf, I always played a couple shots better if I was trying to show off. There's just something about it. I was also nervous if they were there, right? But I also played a little better. And so I think I
Mm.
kind of get some of that.
well, can I make one point
Yeah, go ahead.
there and ask for clarification? The thing about playing with your dad and trying to impress him, I think that's different in a sense that you knew his love was not conditional upon you playing well,
That's true. Yeah. It was,
right? So it was an opportunity to show off and an opportunity to impress without the burden and the baggage of
yeah.
if I don't perform well. And same thing happened with Robert Ory, right? Y'all remember Robert Ory, Big Shot Bob, they call him. He hit game winners for multiple teams in his NBA career. One of the best quotes I ever heard from him was, they were like, how did you pull the trigger and make all these shots? He was like, man, I had money in the bank and a family at home that loved me. Whether I made or missed a shot, I'm good. Like it's just a game. So there is that's the optimal stimulus, right? That's the optimal pressure level, is he's just playing free. He's having fun, So
Well, and the other thing though that I'll say to it from the weekend was, this is probably the first time I can ever remember finding, I don't know if this is the right way of saying it, but almost like a little bit of a comfort security blanket in my routine, like my pre-shot routine. I know I've read about that, heard about that, and tried to do that. But I finally, sometime like early Saturday, probably at the end of the first match, really got into my routine. Because I think before I told you I've been playing around with different things, and I started to realize, okay, I had too many steps in it. For me, it was just take a deep breath, hike my shirt up, go through my little, I even timed it at one point, 7 seconds is how long it took me to go from hiking the shirt to being in the box. And I just became methodical about it as the day went on. And the more I did that, the more I started to find comfort in the fact that in the past, I think what I've tried to do is when I would feel those nerves, I would try to put a little bit of extra control on the club and say, okay, I've got to hit a great shot. So let's make sure we control this club more. I think in this, what I did was kind of said, okay, I'm going to try to focus more on the control of the process. And then once I've gone through it, I felt this little bit of a subtle peace right before I take the club back that says, hey, I've done everything that I know to do. I did my shot, and I've walked off of several shots when I hadn't done it. That's something I've never done. But even on a putt that wasn't meaningful necessarily, or a shot that wasn't meaningful, if I hadn't gone through the routine, or if I'd gotten in the box and didn't feel right, or miscalculated something or whatever, I stepped away, started it all back over. And then when I got to that trigger moment, it was okay. I've done everything that I can do, and I just felt more comfortable. And alternate shot, you don't get to see like what you would have shot on your own ball. But I'll tell you, I played some really good golf in that, especially in that middle match. But really, all day Saturday was probably some of the best golf I can play. And there was a little bit of that showing off. I mean, we had a huge lead, and I'm 240 out on the 11th hole, and they're like in the deep rough. I mean, we were pretty good shape to go ahead and lock it up. But I'm sitting there thinking, if I hit a good 3-wood, my partner's going to chip it up probably inside the circle, and we're going to win the hole. But if I hit a great 3-wood, we're going to end this right now. And I want to do that. So then I've hit like a 240 yarder to about 6 feet and got to end the match. But that was really what was going through my head, is like, I don't want my partner closing this out. I've got the club in my hand. I want it closed out right now. And I hit a great shot. So when you are able to do that, it's a cool feeling. But I mean, like I said, I was nervous. I just, probably the first time I can remember ever playing well while I was nervous and sustaining it. Like I've done that for a hole or two, but then I always like, okay, shake, I would almost fight the nerves away, and then I think my optimal level might be just a touch up. I think I like it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Not so much that I'm like debilitated, but just enough that I'm just a little bit more
So,
heightened.
well, I think there's two really beautiful things you said in there. One, you said you controlled the process. You controlled that you can do the
Yeah.
process, and then you let it go, right? Then you let whatever's going to happen happen. And I think that's so important, right? Because again, when people start to get the yips sometimes, or the mental yips, is it's like they're not committed to letting go of outcome, right? They're not committed to, it's like, oh no, I can still fix this, or I can still, do something, and they've not let it go. Same thing too. And I don't know, I have to look at the academic literature on this within the sports psychology field, but I don't know if anyone's ever studied enjoyment and fun as a correlate to academic performance, right? So, like, say for example, we watched some really amazing basketball teams the last few years with, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, the Splash Brothers. Man, when they were playing their best, they look like they had so much fun together, right? And the whole team chemistry, everyone's having fun. I mean, if I think when artists get into creative space, they're enjoying it, they're having fun. Even when something is challenging, if you're enjoying it and having fun with it, you have the ability to perform well because there's not the negative mental baggage and stigma. I mean, I've coached, 10-year-olds up to high schoolers in different sports, not just golf. And when the mental anxiety and pressure of mom and dad on the sidelines screaming at him, or coach yelling at him, if you miss this, you're off the team, right? Like, who can perform in that? Who can do a good job? Who can play to the best of their ability at that?
Yeah, they can, but they're not having fun, and then some people just don't care. Like they would rather win. Like winning is fun for them. And I was one of those guys. Like I need to be loose. I need to have fun because even if I win, if I'm not having fun, like it just doesn't do it for me. But I think to piggyback Tony, I love what you were saying, Garrett, because Tony has talked so much about process, and we were talking a little bit about anxiety, and how you dealt with it was you went back to your process, and I love that. Like, I think in performance, you have to embrace the anxiety, and when I think embrace, that means like it's gonna come. Like instead of being like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't get nervous today, it's like say, hey, I'm gonna get nervous and I'm going to get anxious and I'm gonna pinch a little bit, and it may happen on a whole. But I love if you guys if you have a routine, and I didn't have one when I was playing in college or whatever. I didn't have a routine, so I just trying to like push away the anxiety for 3 hours enough that I could perform. Um, and you said something earlier, Garrett, that I have to ask you. So, you're talking about like that little bit of that, like Mickelson, that maverick in you. I hear that in you, and you're like, well, I could just punch it in the gimme circle, but like I want to go for it. And I guess my question is, do you get more like, are you as satisfied when you just lay up and you just, win? Or are you like, do you get more enjoyment out of going for it? Is that like we're talking about endorphins and we're talking about brain, and like I see that in you. Like I would rather go for it and miss and have the endorphin rush in my head, or can you put that aside? Can you mentally like, I know I should lay up here and I know I might win that hole or that, but you know what? Damn it. I really want this endorphin rush that I'm getting right now. I'm going to go hell with it. I'm going to go for it. Is there a question? I know that I feel like there's a question.
No, it was a question.
Okay.
No, I think the question was, am I okay laying up and winning? Or do I have to go for it?
Do you get the enjoyment? Are you going to enjoy it as much as you like? But if I go for it, I'm going to win with some flair and people are going to talk about it. But I could also not win.
Okay, so let's just predict his answer. Let's predict his answer here based off of his favorite movie and his favorite movie character.
I'm going to go ahead and I'll give you a very simple answer. I actually don't know because I have never tried to lay up. I mean, I've seriously never done it. Tony, how long do you think it took me to decide to hit that 2-iron on 17?
You had 2-iron before we even pulled up to the
Yeah,
ball.
absolutely, I
Probably it was
did.
probably
No, I
already
didn't
there.
because I didn't know if it was going to be a 2-iron or a 3-wood. But I was,
Regardless, you were hitting
yeah,
one of
no,
those
I mean,
two.
there was never when we pulled up. The only question that I had was whose ball was on the left and whose was on the right. Because if mine was on the right, then it was where yours ended up being was you were blocked out to the point I probably couldn't have tried that one. But when I got up there, I'm just like, it never even occurred to me to lay up. It literally never crossed my mind until you walked over and said you got 2-iron, and I was like, yeah. And you're like, bold move. And I'm like, what do you mean bold move? It's the only move. I was not even aware that there was another option. And
Well, that was not me. That was not me trying to get in your head. That was me as a friend
I
looking at the
know.
train wreck that was coming, and I was like,
and my
I
response,
want to win, but I don't want to win like
but
this.
see, but honestly, man, like, I mean, this is a genuine moment here. If you had not said anything, it would have been a little bit different. Once you said bold move or whatever it was, I can't remember now exactly what the phrase was, but that, like, you talk about that endorphin rush, it was like, ooh, that's going to make it even sweeter when I stick this to 6 feet. If you hadn't said anything,
Yeah.
it would have just been
Challenge
like, "Nice try."
accepted.
But now that you, that's right. Yeah, like that was my natural. If there was, and there hadn't been any thought that I was going to lay up, but if there had have been, that would have been all I needed to say, oh, yeah, I wasn't sure. I was 60-40 maybe, but now I'm definitely going. Like, yeah, it's like the story I told where the guy kept ribbing me in high school that I couldn't hit that shot again. Like, after he did it long enough, I'm just like, and honestly, like that story in high school, did I tell that on the podcast or did I just tell you that, Tony?
I think you told me that at Eagle
I
Ridge.
told
Yeah.
that at Eagle Ridge. So when I was in high school, Mike, there was a guy when I was a senior. He was a sophomore. And he was a pretty good player, but he was about as cocky as I am, and he liked to talk smack. Well, one day we had a match or whatever, and we were playing. We were betting with each other. We're too old to get in trouble for it now, but anyway, I ended up hitting a 200-yard punch cut 4-iron on 18 to like 6 feet or 8 feet, and he's just like, you lucky, blah 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 blah. Well, we finished up and we're sitting around waiting for the rest of the team to finish practice. It was just practice, and we were waiting on the rest of the team to finish. And he's sitting there on the hill. He just keeps telling me how lucky I was. He's like, man, you were so lucky. You couldn't do that again. I said, well, that's fine. I don't have to do it again. I did it when it mattered. And he just keeps on, keeps on, keeps on. Finally, after like 20 minutes of this crap, I'm like, fine, here are my keys. I'd already put my stuff up. I said, go to my car, get my 4-iron, a Pro V1, my glove, and my shoes, and I'll do it again if it'll shut you up. And he could not. And I think I did like a double or nothing bet. I think I won like $20 off of him. I was like, I'll double or nothing. I'll do it again. And he could not run to my car fast enough. And so he brings it back, and I walk all the way back down the fairway. I go drop the ball, same spot, and it was a blind shot, so I couldn't see it. And I hit it, and it was kind of like Sergio in '99, where he comes running out of the woods to see it. I come running out, but I couldn't get out fast enough to see it land, so I just turned my head and listened. And I'll have to edit this out, but the only thing that I heard about 6 seconds after impact was "son of a," and I said, I guess I hit it close, But it was but that's probably my favorite golf moment ever but it was like, yeah, challenge accepted. And there have been, here's the thing about it, just like Tin Cup, I only remember the 4 times that I pulled it off. I have no recollection whatsoever of the ones that all of the 91s that I shot en route to that. Is it though? I
think a lot of times,
we need to define goals. Yeah, we need to define goals here, right? So again, different people have different golf goals. If your goal is to go out and hit the most creative, like unique 1 in a million shots, have fun doing that. But if your goal is to minimize triple bogeys and quadruple bogeys and break 100, there's other strategies that might be more beneficial to you. I don't know.
I think
at the end of the day.
So Tony, I think you might know the topic that has not quite been brought up yet. So maybe, I don't know if you were trying to tee me up for that yet, but I think, and out of that vein, Mike, do you have something you want to say before I bring up my Augusta story?
Oh, that one.
I'm just thinking of that song by Neil Young. It's better to better to burn out than fade away. I think you you want to be remembered and be talked about.
Crash and burn.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
It's better to be remembered than forgotten.
But what are you remembered for? That's the
Yeah,
question.
that's a good question. So today, we've been doing. I was texting you guys last night. We've got the YouTube channel. This is a great time to plug the YouTube channel. By the way, if you're listening, go check us out on YouTube at the Best Golf Podcast Ever. And I've been really pleased so far for the little bit that we put out there. We've got some good stuff and some decent amount of watch time and views and all that kind of stuff. But decided that from what I can notice from the analytics, it seems like the audience seems to be more interested in having their questions answered than just listening to us BS about our golf games. So I decided to take my practice time at Sully's and try to turn it into some video time. And I was like, you know what? There was a comment on a clip we released from the last show where we talked about how I hit driver off every hole. And somebody made some comment about, well, that depends on if there's out of bounds and hazards and all this stuff. And I was like, you know what? I got an idea. I can prove it. I'm going to prove that it's better to hit driver off of every hole. So I set up a little challenge. Went to Sully's today, and I played 36 holes from Augusta National or Georgia National, whatever it's called on there, from the tip, 7,500 yards. And I stacked.
Not Augusta
National. It's definitely not Augusta National. It just looks an awful lot like it. And I did stack the odds heavily in my favor by playing a 7,500 yard golf course. But I said, I'm going to play 18 holes with no fairway woods or driver. I'm going to take 2-iron and lower and play 18 holes. And then I'm going to play 18 with my driver and 3-wood just to show how much better you score when you hit driver. And I played the first round because I had nothing more than a 2-iron. I really couldn't be aggressive. The furthest I could hit it was the 2-iron. So I had to play more like shot selection and strategy and all that kind of stuff. But then when I put the driver and the 3-wood back in, boy, it was on. I was going for everything. Shot 76 with the 2-iron and below, 77 with the driver. And that's at Augusta, which if there's ever been a course that you need as much length as possible to be able to score, I would think it's probably Augusta. But I beat myself by one shot when I took the driver and the 3-wood out of the bag. So now I kind of feel like the sky is red, winter is hot, summer is cold. My entire universe is flipped inside out. But I think I have to kind of face this reality that maybe, it's just a theory, but maybe I would play better if I didn't hit driver off every hole and go for every par 5 if I was inside 280. Just throwing it out there for the group.
So several points of emphasis with this, right? From a coaching strategy standpoint, strokes gained, decade, whatever your scoring system is. If you come to me and say, hey, coach, I score better when I don't have a driver or a 3-wood and my max distance is 230 off the tee versus when I can hit driver or whatever, I would say, well, then you need a new driver that fits your swing better, or you need to practice your driver and figure out a driver swing that keeps the ball in play. Because giving up 60 yards on every hole that you can theoretically hit driver on, again, the closer you are to the green, in theory, the easier it is to score better, right? It's just statistically much more likely to hit a green from 100 yards than you are from 200 yards or whatever, 160. So that would be the first red flag to me, would be then you just need to work on your driver. We need to figure out your driver setup, your swing, your mechanics, your club setup, whatever. So that's just that, right? Obviously. But I definitely think there are some points to be gleaned from there. Now, this is one of the things I was going to talk about that I didn't get to tell you about earlier on our phone call. When people say they're more accurate with their 2-iron versus their driver, it doesn't mean they're more skilled with that club. But if you just look at a basic triangle, right? Our shot dispersion is a cone. Okay, a ball that goes all the way out here to the cone versus one that goes to here, you could have the exact same margin of error with club face to path relationship with impact. But because it just goes off on a farther line, it has more time to go wider. So there is a fine line of demarcation there of distinction. Technically, yes, you might be more accurate with the 2-iron than the driver, but not because it's magically you're more skilled. It just, they go farther. They go farther offline, right? That's just part of how the math works. But again, and you have to look at the strokes gained too. I do think it's 40 or 50 yards different. You have to be farther back in the rough or farther back in the fairway before that 40 yards is made up if you're in like the first cut of rough or something. Now, granted, it's not the rough we've been playing lately, right? But just if you're on a traditional golf course, that 60 yards is a wash. And then when you are in the fairway 60 yards further up, you're gaining even more because you're in the fairway and you can put it closer from the fairway than you would from the rough, right? So that's the basic overview of how the math works there. But a way to look at it for the listeners or people who are doing strategy on their own decision making might be, what's the farthest you can hit a ball on this hole without taking any extra risk, right? If it's a wide open hole, there's no out of bounds, it's just hazards, fine, smack driver. But if there's out of bounds right, okay, well, can you hedge your bets farther on the opposite side to still justify hitting driver and not bring in any other risk, right? But every hole is going to be different. But 9 times out of 10, we want the shortest distance into a hole we possibly can have for our next shot. That's just how the math of it works.
One of the things that helped a lot when we were playing at Eagle Ridge is that, well, two things. First of all, one thing that I forgot to mention is that, oh yeah, here's Mike back. I want to make sure Mike hears this. No, you're good. One thing that I forgot to mention about my round at Georgia National was that I felt like I absolutely played like crap when I shot 76. I felt like I hit the driver fantastic when I shot 77. And I think that kind of speaks a little bit to what you were saying there, Tony. But another thing that you told me, Tony, that at Eagle Ridge last week, that I thought it was just incredibly helpful. And part of the reason I think that I rallied back and played better was what you said to me about shifting your target. Take number 16 at Eagle Ridge is a great example of that. I always, it's 450 yards straight downhill. And if I bomb it, I usually take it, there's out of bounds on the right, and it's pretty tight on the right too. And there's a cart path right by it. So what I've always done is kind of take it at the right edge of the fairway and then hit a big high draw. And there's about as much room to miss left. All you've got left is 17 fairway. So you can literally hit it 100 yards left and still find it, still play it, still have a shot. But I still take it down the right edge of the fairway and try to hit a big draw. And then the other day when Tony and I were playing, Tony was talking to me about just shifting your target. So instead of just aiming right and trying to draw it, I actually aimed down the center and tried to hit the same draw so that it would ideally end up basically left edge of the fairway. And it was a good thing I did because I ended up getting blocked out and I hit about a 10-yard cut instead. If I take that down the right edge of the fairway, it's out of bounds. But because I aimed it down the middle of the fairway, it was playable. Barely, but it was playable. So just shifting, then I did the same thing on 17. 17, the ideal, like the fast lane, what I've always heard is the left-hand side, but you can miss it right about as far as you want to. So I shifted my aim point just a little bit further right and ended up just a little bit right and still playable. I thought that was just a really, instead of just thinking about, okay, there's water on the right of a green, say I'm 150 out and the pin's on the right-hand side, I'm going to aim at the right-hand side and hit a draw. And if I hit it straight, I'll hit it right at the flag. And if I draw it a little bit, I'll be 15 feet. Okay, well, yeah, but if you block it 4 feet, you're in the water. So, yeah, there is that side of the shot dispersion too. So why not aim a little left of the flag and hit that same draw 25 feet left of the flag? And I've never thought of it that way. Like I've never necessarily changed my aim point in terms of where I want this ball to end up. I just change my shot pattern and say, okay, if I'm guarding against, if I don't want to go out of bounds right, I'm going to basically aim just inside the out of bounds and hit a draw. Or if I don't want to go out of bounds left, then I'm going to aim way right and try not to draw it, basically. But I've never really changed my aim point.
Yeah, and people don't realize there's a difference between aiming a shot and aligning a shot. Like your alignment is your body lines and where you're, pointed relative to a target. Some people are drawers, they aim a little bit right of their aim of their intended target. Some people are faders, they aim a little left of their intended target. But it's where are you intending to hit the ball? So if this little circle here is my dispersion with an iron or a driver, and my face is the fairway, and there's out of bounds over here, my new target needs to be over here. Like that's, and that's like people say, oh, how do I not hit it?
I want to interrupt to say this because this is the distinction that I forget. That means that if I hit a great shot, that is where my ball is going to go. Okay. Because when I aim center of the green and it goes center of the green, I'm pissed off that it didn't draw enough to get close to the hole. Right. And I'm thinking, well, I need to aim close to no, that means that's where you want your ball to settle when it stops moving, is in that spot.
Why do you think Tiger Woods, his quote is, "I play very aggressive to the spots I'm trying to hit it"? Or why do you think you'll see a player like Hideki Matsuyama hit a shot and and then he goes, "Oh," like this, and the announcer's like, "I don't know what he's all pissed off about. That was all over the flag from the start." That's because he wasn't trying to hit it there, right? And he's frustrated that his target was 10 yards right of the flag and he happened to pull it. He
It
didn't
worked
care. I mean,
out,
it's
but it
worked out,
wasn't a good
but
shot. Yeah.
he was disappointed he didn't execute the shot the way he intended to. Right? So yes, that's a huge part of it. Again, if we just took a bucket of balls and filled it up with 50 golf balls and we just tossed it up in the air, some are going to land left, some are going to land right, some are going to land long, some are going to land short. Cool. Let's just make sure that none of the balls, or a very small percentage of the balls that we toss up in the air, even have a chance of going out of bounds. Right? Let's make sure that all those balls we toss, the majority of them are on the green and not short in the water. So that's where shifting your target gets the good shots are fine. They're easy pars. The bad shots are fine. They're up and down for par or easy two putt. And your amazing shots are fine, right? You're hedging your bets, trying to make the best decision possible. It's really cool when you look at it that way.
Yeah. It goes very much against the hit it as close to the hole as you possibly can philosophy that I've played with for 30 years. And it definitely probably goes against the hit it as far as you can off the tee philosophy. But it does make a little sense. I'm not going to lie.
Well, and if you look at the shot link data of a tour event, right? And let's say it's like one of these holes with water all down the left side, and it's a dog leg left, like some of the I think 18 at the Arnold Palmer tournament, right? Is like that. And then there's like this tree off in the distance, and you'll see the huge cluster of drives for the day. You can reverse engineer what their target actually was based off of that. Where's the center of all those balls, right? And it's typically not the hero line, that's for sure. Or when that flag is tucked left behind a bunker, you'll see a whole crap ton of balls towards the center of the green because that's where they're trying to hit it.
Well, and the stat, and you'll probably know it off the top of your head, but you can find it really easily. The average pro from 100 feet or from 100 yards hits it to what, like 18 feet or something like that. Like in
Somewhere
our
around
mind,
there.
we think that pros hit it to 6 feet every time, but that's not necessarily just because the pros aren't. Because I'll be honest, like if I'm at Sully's hitting a 100-yard shot, I'm going to hit it inside 15 feet of my target, probably more often than not. I'm certainly not as good as a pro. Part of the reason that they hit it 18 feet away from the flag is because there might have been some really dangerous crap 2 feet left of the flag and they were aimed 20 feet right of it, right? So they're not always aiming where we think they're aiming. They're aiming it to a certain point. And then, yeah, once in a while, I've seen that too, where pros hit a great shot and it was an accident, but I've just never really. See, to me, if it's a back left pin and there's water over there, all that means is I'm going to start my draw further right, but I'm still going to draw it, right? Because I still want it to have a shot to get close, and that's just not the.
Yeah, here's another way to look at it, right? Like the overwhelming majority of golfers, unless they need just actually to practice putting, they're statistically going to be able to make 2 putts from any point on a green than they are chipping from short-sided and saving par. Like the math is just going to work out better. There's an experiment I have students do all the time. I say, play your normal 18 holes of golf, but when you get to every green, put an additional ball just in the middle of the green and then putt from there, assuming you've hit green in regulation, and see what you score. And they're like, oh my gosh, I just shot 600, right? Because, and then they played their own ball, chasing targets, chasing flags, trying to hit it to 2 feet every single time they shot 85, right? So it kind of shows it's a boring game in many respects when you play that way. But again, what is the path to stress-free? Because what we want is a chance at birdie. That's it. That's all we want is a chance. Okay.
How many times around, Tony, do you think a pro is aiming in 18 holes? How many times are they taking dead aim for the flag, do you think?
They'd probably have to have 120 yards or less, and it would have to be a pretty conservative pin. Once they get a wedge in their hands, those men and women are absolutely phenomenal, right? But anything outside of that, unless they're just feeling it that day, and they're just super confident. But it's really fun to listen to the conversation with the caddies too, because you can hear them and they're like, oh, wind's off the right. Yeah, we're gonna need to hedge a little bit there. And like you see it in the Ryder Cup too. Some of those par threes, where did a lot of those balls end up? Like you'd see four guys hit in a row and they all end up pretty darn close to each other, right? And it might be 20 feet from the flag, something like that. So
I want to know, when you hear Tony talk like that, just hit it in the middle of the green. Like, do you feel gross, or you feel like the hair standing on the back of your neck? Just
No, I
hit from
just
the
put
middle, or
no. You see me writing, I just write a note to edit that part out of the.
get rid of it, burn it.
I'm just like, that's blasphemy. We're not putting that in there.
you know,
But,
like,
but,
he used the word. Tony used the word boring. He's like, I know it's boring, but you're just trying to make birdies, and I'm just curious, how does that make you feel? Playing boring.
little queasy. I mean, it doesn't. It because what it makes me think is that it kind of sucks because on those days that I'm just striping it, I'm going to shoot 34 on 9 holes. Where if I was striping it and playing good, I was going to shoot 31. But on the other side, of that though, when I'm aiming for those flags and missing, I'm shooting 42, right? Like to me, I'm thinking like number 11 at Augusta, just I played it today, right? And that pin is, even if it's dead center of the green, the correct target is probably the very right edge of that green. That's probably where you need to be aiming that from 175 yards out. But see, then if I hit that shot perfectly, I'm going to miss the green, and I'm going to be pissed off that I hit a perfect shot and missed the green. I'm just
Yeah.
being honest. I'm going to be mad that I'm going to have a super easy chip, and I'm going to get up and down probably. And I'm definitely not going to hit it in the water, but that's incredibly boring to me. I mean, I can't deny that I'd probably play better. Mike, you got me really thinking about. You got me in my head now. I'm thinking, which would I rather do? Play aggressive and shoot 85, or play smart and shoot 75? And I'm not sure that I wouldn't rather play aggressive and shoot 85. Now, there's just something wrong with me. Like I need to really get
Well,
that worked out, I think.
But so that's again, that goes back to the whole point of what is your goal of the game? Is your goal to have fun hero shots, or is the goal to score lower? And that's okay to
Both.
say.
I want both. Y'all don't get it. I don't
I
see
want it
why
all.
I don't see why there has to be a distinction between the two.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's not necessarily that it's boring, but I mean that's how I was able to shoot a 1-over with only 4 clubs. The ball stayed in play off of every single tee shot, and then I played whatever number I could make sure I got on the green, whether it was a full sand wedge, a half sand wedge, a full 8-iron, or a half. Like it's just like the flag was irrelevant unless I was inside of 100 yards with a wedge. It was just get on the green, 2-putt, get out of there.
I'm going to make a bold statement and say, I didn't know you as a kid, but I'm guessing you weren't a kid that liked to eat your vegetables, and you're not a kid that liked to take medicine when you felt bad. It's like the whole, like Tony's saying, like, just take your medicine, just lay up, just get it up there close. Like you're like, you know what? I'm not going to take the medicine, and there's a chance I may get sick, but I don't want that in my body. I don't want to taste that nastiness. I don't want those vegetables. I know that's good for me, but I'd rather have the dessert, because I know that dessert's going to taste good. And I may put on a few extra pounds, but damn it, this is going to taste good. I know it's going to taste good.
I got news for you, Mike.
Are we getting too commercial today?
I got news for you, Mike. I'm a grown-ass man about to turn 40, and I still don't eat my vegetables. Okay?
Yeah.
I usually eat double
Nailed
cheeseburgers
it.
and complain that I can't
Nailed
lose
it.
weight. Okay. Anyway, that's enough Garrett examination for today. Next time we're going to talk about Mike, and
We can't record on Fridays. I call it Unfiltered Friday. I am tired from waking up at 4:45 in the morning. I was up late watching baseball. My filters are gone, and so this is what you get.
If for the listeners or viewers, wherever you're enjoying us from, check out the YouTube channel. It is YouTube at Best Golf Podcast Ever. And I'm not sure which will come out first. I'm going to work on getting the Augusta video edited. And do y'all want to do a reaction video for the Augusta, or do you want me to just do that one solo? I don't know if we got time to do a reaction or not, but I want to get that one out. And then I think coming soon, just for the fun or boredom of it, I'm going to throw together a Play Smart Augusta just to see how it plays out. And I'm going to literally, and maybe Tony, I might need you to come with me on that one because I'm not sure that I know what that even means. But I think that's what I want to do. I think for the next video, I want you to go out there with me and I'm going to aim. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the mouse and you get to decide where my aim point is. And then I will have no control over it and I will hit every shot exactly the way you tell me to hit it. And we'll just compare the 3 rounds. I got a 76 and a 77 now. I want to see how that turns out. But I have a feeling I'm not going to like. I have two feelings. I have a feeling I'm not going to like what I find out, and I also have a tiny little feeling that it's not going to change a damn thing about the way I play golf. But we'll give it a shot and see how it goes.
That sounds fun.
All right,
Can't
boys.
wait to hear all about it.
I shot 63 at Augusta National from the tips. What do you know?
Well,
but it sucked. It was so boring. I'd never do that again in my life.
That might be the weirdest thing. If that happens, I will delete the video before I publish it.
Yeah.
I really do. I don't think I'd even acknowledge it. I don't think I
Can
can.
you imagine if Tony was your caddy?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine? I would want to hear I'd want to hear the conversation.
I think if Tony was my caddy, I'd be on tour. No joke. I think I actually had a brain.
I'm going to take his 2-iron. I'm going to break it as soon as he gets to that number where he's got to carry the water. I'm like, no, I'm still chunk it.
All right, boys. I gotta get my kid. Enjoyed it, guys. See y'all.
Same.
Sometimes you